I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu.
Here.
Mr. Sismar.
Here.
Mr. Hong.
Here.
Mrs. Lax.
Here.
Mrs. Reese.
Here.
Mr. Sealer.
Here.
Mr. Simmons.
Here.
Mr. Winston.
Here.
President Becker.
Here, we have a quorum. Please rise to salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies. In accordance with provisions of this act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published at the Board of Education offices. Also, written notice was provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star Ledger, the Home News and Tribune, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive session discussions, are videotaped. It is the policy of the Board of Ed that videotape meetings are not edited. Individuals who speak at the board's public meetings should be aware of these videotaping rules. Good evening. I'm sure you all came out because you're so bored, there's no school. We're glad to see you. Welcome. We will start out, as we always do, with our superintendent's report. Dr. Valesky.
Thank you, President Becker. Good evening, everyone. The Association of School Business Officials International, also known as ASBO, awarded East Brunswick Public Schools with a Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. This is the 6th consecutive year that East Brunswick Public Schools has earned this award. ASBO's International's COE recognizes districts that have met the program's high standards in financial reporting and accountability. The school district earned the Certificate of Excellence for its comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended 2018. And I want to give special thanks to Mr. Juliana and Mr. Crotchfeld and Mrs. Rosenving, who were instrumental in getting that award for the 6th time. Phenomenal. Since the end of the school year, students and their families have visited the Board of Education meeting room to view their artwork in the district's honors display, which you see around the room here. Student art will be on display through September. And finally, tryouts for all fall sports grades 9 through 12 will take place at East Brunswick High School beginning in August, including 8th grade football. Please check the website for specific dates and times. All forms for fall sports are due by Friday, July 19th. Thank you.
Now we come to the good of the cause for the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of providing an opportunity to the public to express themselves. To allow for a fair and orderly public comment period, individual comments are limited to 5 minutes. Members of the public are reminded this is a public televised meeting, and to protect the privacy of all students and staff, concerns regarding individual students and staff members should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff. I would just like to add that the Board of Ed has a deep respect for the good of the cause for the public. We believe this is the public's time to come and speak and say what they want without having to worry about the board reacting or any kind of a question or anything. So this is not, we don't view this as an opportunity for a dialogue. So I don't want you to mistake our being quiet and respectful as anything besides what it is. It is your time. I promise you, we listen. And I promise you, we will always discuss and follow up with anything that is brought to us. But as far as we're concerned, it's your time up there, not ours. As far as the 5-minute rule goes, anybody who violates it gets put right in the penalty box, okay?
See, Mark, she was going to use it.
Thank you, Mark. Seriously, I don't want you to be offended or take it personally. Mr. Giuliano will give you a 60-second, 30-second notice, warning. We do it because we love what we do, but we like to get home before 4 in the morning, so we do limit it to 5 minutes, okay? So with all that being said, anybody wishing to speak to the board tonight? You can line up over there. I'm just going to ask when you come up to the mic to state your name and address for the record, except for students. You do not have to give your address or your last name, just your first name.
And we hand out pamphlets that.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Great. Okay. So my name is Ruggiero Batamarco. I'm an East Brunswick resident. I live at 5 Barry Road. So thank you for the opportunity to present today. As you can see, we have quite a bit of turnout, right? So what we're presenting today is the East Brunswick Spotswood Co-op High School ice hockey proposal. So with that, how are we going to do this, right? So the thought is we're going to start out as an ice hockey program, as a varsity program to begin. And the thinking is we start 2021, okay? So the next question is, how are we going to do this? So it's going to be a co-op program. So the state of New Jersey, as you're well aware, provides co-op as an opportunity to have towns come together and boost a sport that needs it, sort of kind of get it rolling, right? So that is going to be with Spotswood. So why ice hockey? So ice hockey is for everyone. This is going to be a co-ed sport. You can see we have boys and girls in hockey jerseys in this building tonight. And you think about, well, what does ice hockey really do? There's a lot of hard work, there's teamwork, there's sportsmanship, there's coachability. All these things translate into a student who becomes an adult who can work in their adult life, right? So a lot of good lessons to learn in this process, so hockey's a great avenue for that. And also students get to represent their high school, so that's perfect. So thinking about just the state of New Jersey, one fact I would like to share with you is the Woodbridge, Colonial, and Island 2017-18 teams, so that's a tri-op organization, went to the state finals. So that is success, right? So that worked. So from there, we'll go to sustainability. So can we sustain this? So you think about U.S. hockey, 26% of the NHL right now is U.S.-born players. So when you kind of take it down to a micro level, we had 3 Spotswood East Brunswick teams and the middle school team and the middle school organization at Pro Skate this spring. It was a great success. A lot of these kids played in it, so it went really well. We do have plans to go to Wall Township, put teams in the JV and high school programs that they have down there, which is run in a similar way. So you kind of take a step back and you say, okay, well, and how are we going to feed this program? Well, today, there's projected to have 463 travel teams in the state of New Jersey, and that's from elementary school to high school. That number grew 16% from 2012, so quite a bit of growth in the state of New Jersey. Where are those programs located that these kids will be playing in? It's Pro Skate, Pro Tech, Old Bridge, Woodbridge, Jersey Shore, Princeton, Mercer Chiefs. All these are surrounding organizations. And if you think about, well, what kind of travel programs do those clubs have? 90 teams. And then I didn't even mention that there's also rec programs at all of these places. So tons of places for these kids to sort of learn the sport and prepare themselves for the high school level. So next up, we'll talk about cost. Projected cost, $47,000 annually. Everything's in here. So it's the cost of the rink, it's the cost of the coach, it's the cost of security, it's busing, it's trainers, it's uniforms, it's pucks, it's everything, right? So a lot of things in here. Some of these things are one-time costs. Probably won't see this going forward in perpetuity, but this is worst case scenario. How are we going to fund this? Taxpayers aren't paying for this. This is going to be booster clubs. It's going to be parent donations. It's going to be coupon sponsorships, 50-50 raffles, anything that we can do. I mean, hockey parents, we do a lot for our kids, right? So this shouldn't be a problem for us to accomplish. So from there, we go to equipment and coaching requirements. So when you think about equipment, so we already talked about in the budget what we're going to provide. So we're going to provide jerseys, socks, and shells for the pants. So all the kids are going to have that. Next step is really, okay, then the equipment. Hockey's an expensive sport. So expectation is the parent and the student will have the equipment. The thing with that, though, is when you, if a child is trying out for the sport, the likelihood that they've already played is very high. If they haven't, we are going to develop a program that provides equipment to those students that can't afford it. So it gives them an opportunity as well. So you move on to coaching. That's not our decision. That's, of course, the athletic director. He decides who the coach is. We're very happy to help out with that process, but of course, that's the athletic director's choice. And finally, in conclusion, when you think about what we're trying to do here, there's a lot of programs in the area with similar plans that have been successful. And I just talked about Woodbridge.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. It's a self-funded program, right? So we're not going to have any additional budgetary costs. So what does this do? Allows the students to grow and learn, play for their high school, letter, get a jacket, maybe even get a scholarship to a college program. I mean, they just really kind of take all this hard work that all these kids in this room have put in and put that into the high school level. So with that, appreciate the time. And of course, you can see all the kids here that are here to support. So.
Thank you so much.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Once again, could you give us your name again, please?
Ruggiero Abatamarco.
Abatamarco. Thank
Yep.
you very much.
Yep. You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board?
I would. Melissa Coletto, and I'm at 22 Fairview Avenue in East Brunswick. So I'm also here, part of the hockey organization, and I want to touch upon this busing, because for busing for the swim team, it's $23,000 you guys are paying, where we're asking to help and get these kids a hockey team for $47,000. The other thing is East Brunswick might be building a ice rink. The mayor and the redevelopment committee is planning on putting a recreational hockey team at that facility. That facility will then be able to house and grow kids to then support the high school hockey team. So, please consider this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the tremendous show of support from our student athletes. It's greatly appreciated. We will absolutely take this under advisement. I'm sure there will be questions, and we can reach out and get the answers, and there will be an absolute follow-up, either at our board meeting or through Dr. Valesky. In the meantime, if you have any concerns or issues or questions that come up before we get back to you, or things that you want to bring up you didn't have a chance to tonight, please go through Dr. Valesky's office, okay?
Mrs. Becker, if I could.
Absolutely.
Before the audience leaves, if I could get who the contact information or who would be the contacts with your phone numbers, could I do that?
Yeah, Trudy will do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'd love you to stay for the rest of the meeting, but in case anybody wanted to get home, we'll take a very short 2-3 minute recess. Okay, and thank you again.
Thank you.
And we're back. Okay, for the first item, the Board of Education item, I'm going to go through each one separately. Again, board members, please be aware if it was minutes for a meeting you were not at, you should abstain. So, with that in mind, could I please have a motion for item 1, minutes July 19th?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hong. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
One abstention?
Noted.
Motion carries. Item number 2, minutes July 26th. Motion by Mrs. Lax. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Abstain.
One
Abstain.
abstention.
Abstain.
Noted.
Thank you. Item number 3, minutes August 9th.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Noted. Motion carried. Okay, item number 4, minutes, August 23rd.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lack, second by Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Abstain.
2 abstentions. Thank you.
Noted.
Motion carries. Okay, can I please have a motion for item number 5, approval of superintendent's merit bonus?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lack.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu.
Yes.
Mr. Sismar.
Yes.
Mr. Hong.
Yes.
Mrs. Lax.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mr. Seeler.
Yes.
Mr. Simmons.
Yes.
Mr. Winston.
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Can I please have a motion for community programs? Item 1, contract Maximum Healthcare Services.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hong. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Moving on to curriculum agenda. Can I please, I'd like to motion to combine items 1 through 3.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Winston. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Moving on to the facilities agenda. I'd like to combine items 1 through 3. Can I please have a motion for that?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Winston. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. On to financial services. I'd like to combine items 1 through 11. Can I please have a motion
So
for
moved.
that? So moved by Mr. Simmons?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Lax. Is there any discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu.
Yes.
Mr. Sismar.
Yes.
Mr. Hong.
Yes.
Mrs. Lax.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mr. Seeler.
Yes.
Mr. Simmons.
Yes.
Mr. Winston.
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Human resource agenda. I'd like a motion to combine items 1 through 4.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hong. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu.
Yes.
Mr. Sismar.
Yes.
Mr. Hong.
Yes.
Mrs. Lax.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mr. Seeler.
Yes.
Mr. Simmons.
Yes.
Mr. Winston.
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Can I please have a motion for the information technology item contract Ocean Computer Group?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Can I please have a motion for staff development, item 1, contract Gopher Sport?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? Yes, Mrs.
Again, just like I've pointed out in the past, I notice it's at no cost to the district. Anytime we can get staff development, training and such at no cost, I think it deserves recognition.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Thanks. Yeah, actually, I have a question on that. I was curious as to how we get this training for no cost. I mean, it's great. I was just curious about that.
Dr. Boley, do you have any information on that? On Gopher Sport? Sure.
Good evening. This is through the efforts of our supervisor for athletics. He works with vendors throughout the county to come in and provide professional development on equipment that is new and upcoming in the athletics department.
So it's tied to equipment that we get from them. Okay, then
Yep.
that makes sense.
And
I-
any equipment that they demonstrate, they leave for us to use for future purposes.
I have no idea how much free, no-cost professional development there is out there, but do we have anyone on staff who spends any time researching the possibilities and groups we may want to reach out to bring them in?
Yeah, I think that most of our supervisors are always looking for opportunities to bring people in. And so that's a constant conversation that we're having.
great. Thank you.
Ultimately, their goal is for us to buy that equipment.
Ultimately, it is,
Okay.
but for this purposes, we do get the training and the equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have to say that we do get really good turnout from the coaches who come out, and Chris does a really great job in organizing, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have our optimist and our cynic.
Balance.
Perfect.
That is the reality, yes.
Okay, and we need both. Student services, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 3? Moved by who?
Me.
Moved by Mrs. Lack, second by Mr. Winson. Is there any discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Chu.
Yes.
Mr. Sismar.
Yes.
Mr. Hahn.
Yes.
Mrs. Lax.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mr. Seeler.
Yes.
Mr. Simmons.
Yes.
Mr. Winston.
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Can I please have a motion for transportation services? Item 1, contract award, student transportation services.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax, second by Mr. Winston. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Moving on to our committee and information item reports. Thank you so much for coming during the summer. I hope you're having a great summer.
Yeah, my summer is going amazing. Thank you.
We're going to have to get that microphone on.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, at school right now, a lot of clubs are actually doing things over the summer, and I wasn't aware of this until now, having this position. I had to research it, and it was really interesting, so that's just cool. But the Model UN at the high school is holding summer mock trials to get people interested, to see if they want to do MUN during the school year, or if it's something they want to consider when they get older. SATs and ACTs are happening over the summer at the high school, so a lot of kids are studying for that, taking summer programs, getting tutored. For athletes, there are a lot of summer trainings and conditionings happening over the summer, especially for athletes that do fall sports. And then the marching band also has a camp to get people involved and make sure everyone's ready for the competitions they do and for the football games. And then we actually have a really cool program for choir called American Music Abroad. So there's this association that has a bunch of music teachers put together songs, and then they get students from a bunch of different high schools, and they go to Switzerland, and Italy, and France, and they perform these songs in cathedrals and halls. So we have 3 choir students from East Brunswick participating in that. So it actually started today. So they had to go to Caen today and spend all day learning 20 pieces of music. And tomorrow they're off to Switzerland. So
Wow.
that'll be exciting. That's it.
Thank you so much. Hope you're enjoying your summer.
Yeah, it's going really well.
Counting down the days, though, till September, what is it, 5th?
I'm so excited for senior year.
Hey, it's senior year.
I thought you were going to say counting down the days to graduation, but.
No, that would be, well, we could start a countdown. We could have a visual.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Are there any other committee reports, information items?
I just a note, I kind of missed it on human resources. I think it's pretty exciting that Princeton University is going to work with us and provide training for our teachers as well, if I understand it correctly, through their student teaching program. So that's wonderful. Thank you for having that. And it's wonderful for our teachers to have that exposure to Princeton University, and for that to have them coming here. It's wonderful to have all colleges covered, but it's an exciting opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
That actually will help our students too. That will expose our district. So those teachers may know our student, and in future when our student apply for Princeton, they may take them.
It's part of a nefarious plot.
Yes.
I like it, Leland. I like it. Okay. Yeah, it's a win-win. It's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Anybody else? Good of the cause for the board? We do have a need for a closed session tonight. The Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting. The Board of Education intends to discuss matters as follows. Those items listed on the agenda. Whereas the length of the closed session is estimated to be 60 minutes, after which a public meeting of the board shall reconvene and action may be taken.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax, second by Mr. Winston. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you and good night.